Greetings and blessings, everyone. James Thomas from the Awakening Network. And today we are doing our live series. And the topic of today is on fear. And I wanted to just kind of share a few different things around fear and hopefully be able to assist people to be able to move beyond that place of fear. Now, I have a great deal of experience around fear. As starseeds, for whatever reason, we have gone, most starseeds, I'll put it this way, a great deal of the starseeds have gone through a lot of things growing up. Many of them have experienced abuse and or neglect. They may have experienced all sorts of different hardship and things like this. And it's almost like it's trying to instill within us this sense of compassion and empathy towards other people, being able to step out of our comfort zone, being able to assist people. And people will sit down sometimes and they'll say, well, I'm experiencing this or I'm experiencing that and I'm going through this and I'm going through that. And we're like, yeah, I can relate. I understand that. But what happens is because we are incarnated on this planet and generally at that particular point in our growing up in our life, we don't have the knowledge we have today. I mean, when I was growing up, I had my first close encounter with an extraterrestrial at the age of 13, and it was amazing. And I always felt connected to the ETs and to the stars and stuff like that. But of course, I didn't have even 1/8 or even 1/5 of what I know today back then. And so I went through a lot of different things and experienced a lot of different things. And as you do that, I went through a lot of physical abuse with stepfather for about 3 years. And it was really fascinating because 6 months after my mom left him, although I never saw him again, I actually stood on the street corner because he was living just a couple of blocks from where I was going to primary school. And I stood on the street corner facing down the street where he was living. And I basically forgave him. And from that moment forward, I've never had a negative thought about him. But the experiences that I had kind of affected my relationship with my grandfather and my family and things like this. And it made things very difficult and very challenging, to say the least. And then for different things that happened while I was growing up, created within me a great deal of fear and trepidation. And then when I started awakening at around the age of 22, it was really amazing. It was like there was two of me. There was the physical side of me and there was the spiritual side of me. The spiritual side of me was great. No problem. I'm awakening and I'm learning and I'm opening up to all these incredible little things. I'm learning all these different things. But on the physical side, there was all this fear and trepidation. And there was fear around a close relationship with people, And so there was all of these different things going on, and I didn't trust myself, and I was actually slowly killing myself with things like food and stuff like that. And it was really difficult and very tough. And then, of course, I met Janice, and she beat the hell out of me and helping me move through all the fear and letting it go and releasing and stuff like that. And it was amazing. And now today I'm sitting here and it's like I don't really experience that type of fear anymore. The only kind of fear I really experience is open heights. But we have fear. We have fear of speaking our truth. We have fear of being judged. We have fear of that we're not good enough, that we're not pretty enough. And part of the problem is all of this social media stuff that we're dealing with today back in my day, it was like all the fashion magazines, and we still have those today, of course. And I don't really understand there's a concept I really don't get. I don't understand. It's like well, that season it's like bell bottom jeans are in, which was big fashion back in the early 70s, and it's like, who makes the decision on this? It's like I've had people say, well, you should wear this kind of clothing. It's like, why? Well, it's what's in. It's like, I don't care. I want to just be comfortable, be comfortable in what I'm wearing. So we go through this process where we're being judged and things like that, and then we go through things as kids, and then we parlay them into our life and doing it to other people and things like this, and it just keeps perpetuating that fear and that anger and that frustration. But one of the things that always gets me is the fear of speaking your truth, because you're afraid you're going to be judged. You're afraid if somebody sees that you believe in these spiritual things or something like that, and oh well, I can't talk about that. I mean, if I talk about that, oh, they're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to think I'm nuts. When I worked at Wellington Hospital in medical records, if someone annoyed me, I'd just talk to them in light language, like continuously. I wouldn't actually answer their question in English. I would just speak to them in light language. And then it would be a situation where it's like they would just walk away because they're like, I have no idea what you're saying. And it'd be like, but I'd be in light language. I don't care. I got to that point. It wasn't always the case. When I was growing up in my household, it's like on Sunday we'd go to church. And then after church, this is when I was a real little kid, my grandparents would want to go to a friend's house, right? And friend's house would be like, their friends would be like 60 years old, 70, 80 years old. And so we'd go over there, and the rule was be seen and not heard. So it wasn't like, oh, well, you go outside and play, or you go into the other room and play. No, it was like you just sit there and you be quiet. And that was our growing up, and that's how it was back then. It's different today, but that's how it was back then. And then with the BlueStar healing method, one of its attributes is you can change damaged chakras and replace a damaged chakra with a new chakra, which is amazing. But the amazing aspect to that is this. The chakra that I've replaced the most is the throat chakra. Because people don't speak their truth. They don't speak from their heart enough. Because there's all this fear. I can't do this. I can't say this. I can't let so-and-so know that I believe this way. And it's like, when you do that, it's coming from that place of fear and trepidation. And the thing is that feeds into a negative energy, because there are beings of darkness around here, and there are, because this planet is a planet of complete free will choice. And as it's a planet of complete free will choice, the individuals, the people here, and that includes starseeds, we get to experience everything. Things of light, things of darkness, all these are things. And it's amazing. But darkness feeds on fear. It feeds on our doubt and fear, trepidation, these types of things. That's what those of darkness feed on. Now, this isn't a battle between light and dark, don't get me wrong. But they also will encourage that, And the thing is, how many times, it's like you meet someone, and it's like you meet them and you really like them, but it's like you can't tell them, because you're afraid of being rejected, or you're afraid you're going to be laughed at, or whatever. And the thing is that you meet them 10, 15 years down the road, and they've gotten married, you've gotten married, and oh, when I was in high school, I really had a crush on you. And they're like, I had a real crush on you as well. And you start thinking, what if? What if I had the courage to say, I like you. Would you like to go out with me? What's the worst thing that can happen? They say no. Who the hell cares? That's a simple, example. I have a fear of open heights. When I delved into why I had a fear of open heights, there was two events. One happened in this lifetime. One happened in another lifetime in Japan, where I literally fell off a cliff, and I believe it was during a battle. And I was a ninja, I believe, or a samurai, and I fell off a cliff and was killed. And then in this lifetime, when I was 18 years old, I was in Norman, Oklahoma, at a friend's mother's house. That she had this wicked backyard area that was almost like a field, but it had like hills and little cliffs and all of this. And we were doing sword battles. We had just been to a medieval fair, and we were doing sword battles. And I had a sword and a shield, and the guy I was fighting had two swords. And we were up on a high cliff area, and I broke my thumb here back in junior high when I was like in ninth grade, and it had gotten, my thumb just was sore, and I had done a wild swing, and the sword went behind me, and I went back to get it, retrieve it, and he came in with a flurry, and I took a wrong step, and I fell 10 meters off of the cliff. Fortunately, as soon as I stepped off, I went unconscious and woke up. When I came to, I was on the bottom down at the bottom. The guys, my friend was standing up there going, dude, are you okay? And I had like a couple of bruised ribs and a bruised knee, but I was fine. So, I mean, I've actually flown a single engine 2-seater aircraft. So I can go up in a small aircraft. I really am looking forward one day to being in a helicopter. I could go up in that, and that's fine. But open heights, where it's open, I can see it on TV and I get queasy. So we have these different fears, and some of them do stem from past lives. A past life reading that I just did a couple of days ago, she has a real fear around large ships. As it turns out, I had done the past life, and it had to do with ships and stuff. But in actuality, it's been more than one, because at the end of that past life, I actually put, you also passed away on the Titanic, and you were an 8-year-old young girl, but you died because you hid, because you were scared, and you drowned. And it was the weirdest thing, because she came back to me and she said, I've always had this immense fascination about the Titanic, and I've always known I had to have been on the Titanic, and I didn't know that before. So that was really amazing and great confirmation as well. So the amazing thing is that we express so many different, we have so many different fears that we're dealing with. Some of them stem from our childhood in this lifetime, or through our experiences. We've been love, we've fallen in love, and we've been hurt, we've been cheated on. And so we have issues around trust. When I'm doing BlueStar healing method, so many times I'm removing plates from in front of or and behind a person's heart chakra, because they're blocking off their heart chakra, putting up a wall so that they don't get hurt. But the bottom line is that we all, if you put yourself out there in a friendship, in a relationship of any kind, whether it's a friendship, a co-worker type situation, siblings, family, there's always that opportunity, always that chance of being hurt. I've been severely hurt by things that members of my family did to me, not just my stepfather, but my actual family. And we go through these different experiences, but we have a choice. We don't have to allow those experiences to define who we are. We don't have to allow those experiences to define how we're going to proceed in this life. Now, within the concept or the within the can't even think of the word, my goodness. Within the framework, there we go. Within the framework of a relationship, I have spoken to so many people. I cannot tell you how many people I've spoken to about this, but I have spoken to so many people who are married, and it's like, well, I can't say anything to my husband, or I can't say anything to my wife. They think I've gone around the bend. They'd make fun of me. They would do this or they would do that. And the fear is palpable. There was someone I knew who was very, very keen on doing the BlueStar healing method, did the second workshop, learned, actually was a host for a second workshop. This was back in 2016, so this is almost 3 years ago now. And her husband was so fearful of her spiritual life and opening to that spiritual life that the things he did was just off the wall, off the chart. Just the accusations, everything that he did, it was just mind-blowing. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching it unfold and I'm like, okay. And so the question came down to a very simple thing. What is she going to choose? Will she go with her heart or not? She didn't. And it caused a lot of hurt with a lot of people, But the thing is the fact is, I guess what you need to understand and what you need to realize is there are no rules. There are certain man-made laws that we have to abide by and everything like that because we live here and it's expected. If I'm in the States, it gets kind of confusing because every state has their own laws and things like that. Then you got the federal laws. Here in New Zealand, of course, there's one set of laws for everyone in New Zealand. Have a nice day. Which I kind of prefer myself, that one set of rules. But you got to follow those types of laws and stuff like that. But when it comes to your personal life, you don't have to abide by a set of rules. So many times they're like, well, they're family or it's your relationship or whatever the case may be. And the thing is, it doesn't matter. You have to be comfortable living the life that you're going to live and around the people that you're going to live it with. So fear is so all-encompassing and it's debilitating as well. If we allow fear to dictate our life and our choices and things like that, we are literally allowing it to control our experiences. And the thing is we've got, each one of us, SRCs, we have these incredible, amazing spiritual guides that are with us. Now, some of us know who our guides are, some of us may not. But whether you know who your guides are or not, it doesn't matter. They're still there. They're still working their tails off for you and to assist you to move forward on your path, to assist you to do the things you're here to do and to experience what you want to experience, meet the people you want to meet. So it's so vitally important to remember, right? It's your life. You have the ability to choose for you. If you are in an environment that is fearful and stuff like that, change the environment. You're not under obligation to remain where you are and to continue to go through that fear for no reason, Reclaiming one's power and divinity is about letting go of that fear. fear can come in so many different ways. There are people who fear the ocean, fear a boat. I've got a friend of mine, and he's like, boat. Me, a cruise ship can be a tinny, it can be a a yacht. What? No, not going on. Not going on. He was on the Titanic as well. Okay. I got that when I was looking at him and I was like, okay, so that's I see that. He was actually one of the musicians that was playing at the end when the ship went down. So I mean, the bottom line is that he has that fear now. That fear is a fear that stems from a past life, and so there are times when you get a past life reading or something like that, and it is geared around releasing those fears because you see it and you understand where it comes from and you understand what this situation is and stuff like that. So, but in our life, some of us fear ETs, some of us fear our dreams, and the thing is, it's about opening that passageway within you to understand. We have a saying in my house, and it's a saying that we have, and it's something that we do everything we can to live by on a daily basis. It's not about the fact that we won't feel fearful, we won't feel doubtful, but it's like feel the fear and do it anyway. So some people may have a fear of public speaking. There's a lot of people in the spiritual community who have a fear of reclaiming their power and divinity, who have a fear of opening that doorway to really connecting with who they truly are. And the reason is because in past lives, they have really moved into their power and divinity and into that space. And all of a sudden, they're in that space and, oh, well, they've been killed. They've been crucified. They've been burned at the stake. They've been vilified. All of these types of things. And so now we get into this incarnation, this lifetime. And all of a sudden we're in this lifetime and we're going through this awakening process. And maybe even more of an awakening process this time than in a previous lifetime. And all of a sudden it's like there's this thing within us that go, well, no, hold on. The last time that I was like speaking my truth and living my truth and stuff like that, I got put to death. That wasn't a pleasant thing. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to shut down. We're not going to allow that to open up. And for these people, this creates such a conflict within them. As a life coach and as a spiritual coach and mentor, I come across this a lot with people. They are still clinging to this notion that if they really move into alignment with who they are and with their beliefs and their truths, that somehow they're going to lose everything, that they're going to die, that they're going to be crucified, that they're going to be judged. So many people have such a fear around being judged, around people finding out that they're going to, that they're doing this or that they're doing that they're learning a healing modality, or they're learning how to do tarot readings, or whatever the case may be. And it is true, our loved ones are not always the most supportive when it comes to doing what we're here to do. And it can be a little bit frustrating. But in order to truly move into alignment with who we truly are, in order to move into alignment with our own sanctity and our divinity and our sacredness, we have to be willing to feel fear and move through it, to feel fear and do it anyway, to express ourselves, to speak our truth, not in a cruel or mean way, not in a judgmental or critical way, but from our heart and speaking our truth. And it's like picking our battles, it's not important to go out and like try and battle every single person you meet, because they don't look at things the way you look at them, or view things the way you view them. But it's about opening yourself to realizing, um, Gretchen, that's funny. You have a fear of social workers here in New Zealand. You don't trust them one bit. They're very judgmental here. That's kind of weird, You don't trust or like my wife, Janice. Very interesting. She's a social worker. Just wanted to put that out there. So, I mean, there you go. You know, we have a bad experience with somebody. We have a bad experience with a situation, and we lump everything into that situation. We lump everyone involved in something like that into the same thing. How many lifetimes have we lived where we've lost someone? How many lifetimes have we lived where our love, our husband, our wife, our partner, whatever the case may be, has been killed before us? How many times have we lived lifetimes where a child has died? Our child has died, and we're an adult, and their little child and stuff like this. And see, Gretchen, you love Janice, and yes, she's a social worker. Not all social workers are bad. It's about being open to the possibility that you go into every situation thinking, okay, I'm going to be open with this person, and we'll either build trust or we won't. And if we don't, you walk away, have a nice day, go away, don't want you in my life. Or, spot on, thank you so much, we can move forward together, or, whatever the case may be. Feeling fear just continuously and not doing anything about it is so the wrong thing to do. Because when you are feeling that fear, when you're going through that fear, and it plays on you, it plays on your mind, it plays on your actions, it plays on your judgments, your choices, all of these things. You need to deal with your fears. So you need to find somebody that you can talk to, somebody that can help you through those fears and move through them. You have to be willing to let them go. You have to be willing to feel the fear and do it anyway. The other fear that I have, and it's a pretty big fear, I have a fear of open heights. So the two things that I just kind of decided I wasn't going to try in my life is bungee jumping and parachuting. And the reason is very simple. When I fell off that 10-meter cliff at the age of 18, as soon as that foot went off, I blacked out. I was out cold. So I'm afraid if I did a bungee jump or a skydive, I would jump out the plane, or I would jump off the bridge or whatever, and I'd be like unconscious. That's fear. Thing is, I know that wouldn't happen. I know I blacked out when I fell off the cliff because it was like Spirit's way of protecting me. Because I went unconscious, my physical body was completely relaxed, and so when it hit the ground, nothing broke. I know what happened, you see. So if you have questions, please write them in, and I'll be more than happy to read them out and to answer them. Here we go, Diana. I have lived with fear for most of my life, but most of it has been a fear of being who I am, a fear of being judged. So I kept who I am hidden for so long. Now I have a fear of losing my gifts. It's been who I am for so long. I used to ask myself all the time if I actually have gifts. I even remember asking you that once before. Yeah, you have asked me that before, Diana. And the bottom line is you're never going to lose your gifts. They are a part of who you are. So that's one fear, that if you have a fear of losing your gifts, you can put that to rest. Now, the other thing is you may feel like you have certain gifts that just never seem to manifest. And so you fear that something's wrong with you. And that's not the case. It very well could be a situation where you have a particular gift in true reality, but here it's not there. With me, and it's something that I discovered quite some time ago, I'm an extremely visual person. I'm a master at remote viewing. I can tune into any place in the universe and look in on it and see what's going on right then and there. But in this incarnation, in this physical body, I don't have that ability because that sight has been closed off for me. Now, someone may ask, why is that? Are you being punished? Did you do something wrong in a previous life? Those are fears as well. Am I being punished? You have that fear because it's like we're kind of taught when we're kids, oh, if you do something wrong, you're going to be punished. Now, of course, back in my day, it was like, they used a strap or things like that. And I mean, I remember in grade 9, I got 3 swats in high school from the principal. That was loads of fun. So things have changed dramatically since then. But the bottom line is that we have these fears that something's wrong with us, something isn't right with us because we don't have access to this or we don't have access to that. And it's not the case at all. So I wanted to look into the fact of I know I have vision. I'm a very visual person. I can do this remote viewing. All of this I'm very good at. I'm like an expert at it. But in this lifetime, I can't do it. So am I being punished? Is there something wrong with me? Have I lost something because of a choice that I made? The answer is no. In this incarnation, for me, it was all about one thing, heart. So the vision was closed off. The sound was closed off, except for twice when I heard very, very clearly. So you see, technically, I know I have that ability as well, but it's only happened twice. And the first time was 1986, in November of 86, November 12th, a very significant day for me. And once in 1989 with a young lady who was thrown off the back of a motorcycle and killed. So there you go, Cal. You had the strap in grade 5. Yeah, there. You know what it means, a long time ago. So the bottom line is, it's all about heart. So I've had to learn how to see things differently and get information differently. And that's important. But there's nothing wrong with me. I'm not in fear like I used to be. The biggest time that fear came up for me, and I want to relay this because I just have a sneaking suspicion, I just have this feeling that there's somebody out there who's going to hear this, and it's so going to resonate, and they're going to go, holy crap, that's exactly what I needed to hear. So I want to share a little bit about a particular fear and what I had to do with regards to it. I had very few relationships in my life, mainly because of fear. And, I didn't have those experiences growing up on friendships and stuff like that. The way I was raised, I didn't have the opportunity to have sleepovers, and I wasn't able to go to the parties and stuff like that. I'm not complaining. It's fine. Don't get me wrong. I didn't really miss out on anything. But what I didn't get is I didn't get the opportunity of how you interact with a lot of people of my own age and making friends and stuff like that. And so relationships were hit and miss with me, and I didn't have a lot of confidence around it for different reasons and stuff like that. And so when I met Janice, because here just recently, like 3 days ago, on Valentine's Day, 3 days ago, was our 20th anniversary of when we met, Janice and I. And I was living in Oklahoma. I was living in Ponca City, Oklahoma, which is 20 miles south of the Kansas border, right in the center of the state, but 20 miles south, so North Oklahoma. And she was in Cairns, Australia. We met in a spiritual chat room, right? I remember because a few months after that, I moved to Sedona for about a month or so. And I remember her saying to me, I was in Sedona, and we were in a chat room talking. See, we didn't have Skype. We didn't have FaceTime and Facebook and all this other stuff. We talked either on the phone or we talked in a private chat room. That's, we didn't, I think she had one picture of me, and we didn't really know each other, on the look area, which was fine by me. And she had made the comment to me. She said, "There's not one person on this entire planet that can love you the way I do." And that blew my mind, and that was like next level, and just took me to another level. But when it all came down to it, I had a choice to make. I could throw caution to the wind, because she came over in June of '99, and we met in Northern California, north of San Francisco. We spent 48 hours together, just 48 hours. I had all this fear and uncertainty, and there was no way in hell that somebody from halfway around the world could love me, could really get me, know me, things like this. And I was very, very heavy at the time as well. So I had no confidence in myself whatsoever. And I had all this fear because there was just so much fear from my growing up years and things like this. So I had a choice to make. Do I stay in the States, or do I get on an airplane and fly to Cairns, Australia, and be with Janice? You know what I chose, because here I am. I'm in New Zealand and everything like that, and this year Janice and I will celebrate our 19th wedding anniversary. But I was tormented. I spent days in my bedroom just freaked out. What am I going to choose? How am I going to choose this? How am I going to let go of everything and move forward and be with the person that I know I'm meant to be with? I couldn't put it together. I couldn't figure it out. Finally, one day comes up, and I wake up in the morning, and I had this feeling. And I called Janice. She was at work. She was actually going from one office to another in Cairns. It's her lunchtime. And she answered, and I said, "How you doing?" She goes, "Good." I said, "I got some news for you. I got something I need to tell you." And she goes, "Okay, what is that?" I said, "I'm coming. I got to organize everything, but I'm coming." And she would tell you that she really kind of like jaw hit the ground, because I was within like 2 days of her completely closing the door and saying, "Forget about it." Because I had made her wait a long time for that answer. And even after I moved over there, I was so much in fear. I just knew it was all going to fall apart. But I did it anyway. I felt the fear and followed my heart anyway. Now look, if you feel fear and you follow your heart anyway, and your partner goes nuts and says, "We're done," and walks away from you, or a family member judges you, things like this. I had my half sister and my brother-in-law actually tell me once, that although they loved me, I was going to hell. So the thing is, if we allow other people to control our choices, to make decisions as far as our choices, to decide for us, and for us to acquiesce to them, all we're doing, in truth, is giving them our power and divinity. There's nothing wrong with feeling fear. Fear can be the great motivator. The real problem with fear is when we allow fear to control us and to control our actions and to control our choices. You need to be willing to stand in your own divinity, in your own sacredness, and say, you know what? This is who I am. If you like it, fine. If you don't like it, fine. I don't really care. You know, if you're in my life, I will have love for you. I'll be there for you. Vice versa. If you can't handle me because of my beliefs or because of the way I view things, have a nice day. I have no problem with anybody being a vegan, a vegetarian, a Christian, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Hindu, whatever. I don't care. I don't care what your beliefs are. I don't care any about that. I don't care. Mine is very simple. Do you live from your heart or not? It's the only thing I care about. If you don't live from your heart, I have a little bit more trouble with that, because it's like, if you're not living from your heart, you're not being authentic. If you're not being authentic, you're not really connecting with home. The more authentic you can be, the more you live from your heart, the more you speak your truth. Even when you feel fear, the more you can connect with home, the more you can connect with who you truly are. This is why it's so vital. This is why it's so important. And there are different things you can do. You can find those people in your life that you feel a connection with, who is there for you, who you can talk to. And you can say, look, man, I really feel that I should do this or I should do that, But it's like, what if, I'm just having a lot of fear around it? Because two of the things that humans in general, not just the humanity of Earth, the native human population, but the star seeds as well. The two things that we fear the most is change, although I love change, but change and the unknown. So when we're asked, to do something, we feel called, we feel the desire, we feel called to do something, but we don't know what's going to happen when we do it. It's like, when I'm going within, and it's like, you got to move, you got to go to Cairns, you got to be with Janice, and I knew that was real, I knew that was true, but I had to be willing to say, yes, I'll do that, even though I'm petrified and filled with fear and trepidation. But I did that. But you see, then it's like, then I got confirmation of how supported it was, because I bought my plane tickets to leave in March of 2000, and it was February of 2000, and I just got this wild notion, oh, you should write the Australian Embassy in Washington, D.C., and it's like, I type out an email, send it off, have a nice day, and I basically tell them what I'm going to do, right? This is what I'm going to do. Have a nice day. And so they write me back and they go, technically, if you're going to go over and get married, you're supposed to get a prospective marriage visa. And when you have that visa, then you can go into the country. You have 9 months in which to get married. But you don't have that long. So I would suggest, since you're leaving next month, because it takes 4 to 6 months to get that visa, so I would suggest that you go on a visitor visa and apply in country. I said, okay, no problem. I didn't know. I've never moved countries before. So I came over and I sent the email to Janice, and I came over and we went to immigration, and they were like, "Can we see that email?" Yeah, here you go. She's reading it. She's like, "This is a major no-no. But because you have this from the Australian Embassy in Washington, D.C., we have to accept it." Totally supportive. Feel fear and do it anyway. So fear can be debilitating. So if you're feeling that kind of fear, reach out to somebody that loves you, somebody that you know, somebody that is supportive, who can assist you to move through that area of fear. If you feel fear, do it anyway. Don't do anything that's going to be harmful to you. But if you feel fear, do it anyway, because you never know what's going to happen. And if you want a really good affirmation to utilize when dealing with fears, I'll give you a perfect one. May every choice I make be from my heart. May each choice that I make resonate within my heart. And may each choice that I make and every step I take be for my highest and greatest good and the highest and greatest good of all concerned. So be it. That's it. You don't have to do special affirmations for other things, just that. That's all you got to do. So I am going to end this here. I appreciate all of you very, very much. And I thank you so much. And our topic today has been about fear. And we will close this off now. Join us next week for another round of the live series.